This week's Parshat Eikev. So let's see. We're going to go straight to the sources. Source number 1. This is Moshe talking, and he says like this. בעלותי ההרה לקחת לוחות האבנים, לוחות הברית. When I went up to the mountain to take the tablets of the stones, the tablets of, how do you say Brit, of the covenant, אשר קראת השם עמכם, that God made with you, וישב בהר 40 יום ו40 לילה. I sat on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. לחם לא אכלתי ומים לא שתיתי. I did not eat, nor did I drink. ויתן השם אליי את שני לוחות האבנים, and God gave to me the two tablets, the two stone tablets, כתובים באצבע אלוקים. They were written with the finger of God. ועליהם, and on them, ככל הדברים אשר דיבר השם עמכם, like all the words that God spoke to you. בהר, in the mountain, מתוך האש ביום הקל. It spoke to you on the mountain, from inside the fire, in the day of the giving of the Torah. ויאמר השם אליי, and then God told me, קום רד מהר מזה. It says, get up, go down quickly. כי שיחת עמך, because your nation went astray. אשר הוצאת ממצרים, the nation that you took out from Egypt, סרו מהר מן הדרך אשר ציוויתים. They moved themselves quickly from the way that I showed them, that I commanded them. עשו להם מסכה, they made for them an idol. ויפן וירד מן ההר. Moshe is continuing to talk. It says, he turned, he went down from the mountain, וההר בוער באש, and the mountain is fiery with fire. ושני לוחות הברית על שתי ידיי, and the two tablets on both of my hands. וארא, and then I saw, והנה חטאתם להשם אלוקיכם, behold, you are sinning to God your Lord. עשיתם לכם עגל מסכה, you made a golden calf, סרתם מהר מן הדרך, you removed yourself quickly from the way, אשר ציווה השם אתכם, that God commanded you. ואתפוס בשני הלוחות, and I held the two tablets, ואשליכם מעל שתי ידיי, and I threw them from both of my hands, ואשברם לעיניכם, and I broke them in front of your eyes. Simple, we all know this. Let's look at source number 2. This is from Midrash Tanchuma, and we're going to look at this whole story much more deeper than we usually do. So it says, the Midrash says like this. בשעה says, most people, if you ask most people, what happened to Moshe? So most people are going to tell you, Moshe got angry. He saw the people are making a golden calf. He got angry and he broke the tablets. But obviously, you're not thinking correctly if that's what you're thinking. Imagine, forget Moshe Rabbeinu. Take a regular person, take you. You come to shul, right? On Yom Kippur, or whenever, on a Shabbos. You come to shul on a Shabbos and you hold the Sefer Torah, and immediately one of the congregants does something to segregate, to go against the Torah, whatever way it is, I don't care what he does. So you get angry and you do what? You take the Torah and you smash it on the ground. Is that what you're going to do?
Listen, when people are angry, it's avodah zarah. It's totally they can put their head against the wall.
Can you imagine a regular person doing such a thing?
The answer is definitely yes.
Yes.
When they're angry
with the Sefer Torah?
Doesn't matter.
I can't imagine. I can see it not in Sefer Torah, not if it's a Sefer Torah. I can't imagine a person who will take a Sefer Torah and break it. And for sure not Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is righteous. So forget it. If a regular person, I can't imagine me. I can't imagine whatever a person will do, what would make me break a Sefer Torah. And I can see myself sinning in many ways. But this I cannot see. Yeah? So it's very hard to say that this is what happened. That Moshe Rabbeinu got angry and he broke the tablets. Yeah, so we need to understand a little bit deeper What's going on over here? And that's what the Midrash trying to say. And we're going to see what the Midrash says. It's going to be hard for us to understand what the Midrash says. Shalom Aleichem. It's going to be hard for us to understand what the Midrash says. So right now, Jeff, we're holding that Moshe Rabbeinu broke the tablets. And we're trying to understand, if you come to shul and you're standing with a Sefer Torah and somebody does something to anger you, are you going to throw down the Sefer Torah?
I don't think so.
You don't think so. So how can you say that about Moshe Rabbeinu? Right? That's the question. So let's see. Source number 2, Midrash Tanchuma. בשעה שנתן לו הקדוש ברוך הוא את הלוחות, it says, we're on page number 4, source number 2. At the time that God gave to him the tablets, היו סובלים את עצמם. Very strange, the Midrash says. They used to hold themselves, let's call it. כיוון שירד וקרב אל המחנה, but since he went down and he came close to the camp, וראה את העגל, once he saw the golden calf, פרח אות הכתב מעליהם. It says the letters flew away from them. The letters flew away from them. ונמצאו כבדים על ידיו של משה. And then they were too heavy on the hands of Moshe. מיד, so immediately, ויחר אף משה, and Moshe got angry. It's a literal translation, but by the way, this is not a real translation, because it says ויחר אף Hashem usually. Hashem got angry. Hashem is not, when he says anger, it doesn't mean to lose yourself.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't mean to lose yourself over here. But that doesn't matter. But we'll do that some other time. ויחר אף Moshe. Literally it means that Moshe got angry. וישלח מידיו, and he threw them from his hand. That's what the Midrash says. A couple of things which we need to understand. The Midrash doesn't make so much sense. Number one, if you think about it, a Sefer Torah has letters on parchment. So if it's talking about a Sefer Torah, I understand if it says the letters flew from it. The letters were removed from it. The letters were removed from the parchment. But how were the tablets made? It was carved. What do you mean? The carving, the empty space flew from it? What exactly does it mean? So we need to actually think about that. But let's continue. The Rebbe on page number 4 says, לכאורה אינו מובן. The Rebbe says, you know what? I'll go even deeper. I don't understand, the Rebbe says. שבירת הלוחות הייתה בלוחות הראשונים. When we're talking about the breaking of the tablets, we're talking about the first tablets. Right? שלא היו מעשי אדם. Think about it. The first tablets were not made by man like the second tablets that Moshe made. They were godly. כמו הלוחות השניות. They were not made by man like the second tablets. שאמר הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה, פסל לך שני לוחות אבנים. In the second tablets, Moshe made them. That's why he told him, carve for yourself. אלא מעשה יודעי אלוקים. The first tablets were made by God. כמו שכתוב בפירוש בחומש, like it's written in the Chumash itself, כפי שיודע גם על 5 למקרא, like every 5-year-old knows when he reads the Torah. It says, how do we know? It says, והלוחות מעשה אלוקים המה. It says, the tablets were made by God. עוד שלפני שנכתב להם המכתב, even before God carved them, they were holy. They were godly made. They were not earthly made. They were made out of materials from heaven. Even before the 10 commandments were written upon them, שמכתב אלוקימי, and that in itself was God writing on the 10 commandments. שעניין זה היה אפילו בלוחות השניות. That was also done in the second tablets. ועל אחת כמה וכמה בלוחות הראשונים שהיה קודם לכן. So you've got a heavenly physical thing that God gave to Moshe as a present. This is the first tablets. כלומר, which means, כשרצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לכתוב את 10 הדיברות, when God wanted to write down the 10 commandments, לא הסתפק בלוחות שנעשים מאבנים טובות סתם. God didn't take regular stone, כמו לוחות שהיו מסנפירון, just like in the second tablets that they were made out of stone, a special stone. It was called snapiron. אלא ברא בריאה מיוחדת של לוחות שמעשה אלוקים. God made a new material that never existed. A heavenly material he made specially for the Ten Commandments. שיהיו רואים לכך שיכתב אליהם מכתב אלוקים. They were so holy that they were befitting that God's writing should be on top of them. That's the Ten Commandments. ועד שגדלה מעלתם שלא באורך לכל מעשה ששת ימי בראשית. It says that it was higher than the entire creation. How do we know this? כמובן בזה שהם בין 10 דברים שנבראו בערב שבת בין השמשות, כמבואר פרשת המשנה. Like the Mishnah tells us, the tablets, the material for the tablets were created just before Shabbos came in, the first Shabbos. So that's when God created them, amongst all the other special things. The Be'er, the Man, if you remember it says, 10 things nasu. 10 things were done by God at that special time between mundane and holy. Yeah? And that's the time that God created these special stones. ועל פי זה נשאלת השאלה. Now comes the question that we will need to deal with. למה נשברו הלוחות? Why are the tablets broken? הן אמת שכאשר ברחו מהם האותיות של 10 הדיברות, נתבטלה מעלה של מכתב אלוקים. Okay, I understand. It says in the Midrash that the letters flew away from them. They had no letters. Who cares? Who made them? What kind of material were they? They were holy material that God made. Okay, so they have no letters. אבל עדיין נשארה בהם המעלה הנפלאה ביותר שמעשה אלוקים המה. Still, they had the greatness that God made them. So every time a rabbi becomes angry now, he's going to take the Torah and break it? For sure that's not what Moshe Rabbeinu did. And especially that this is something that God gave it to him as a present. What are you breaking stuff? So let's try to understand. על הפסוק, וישלך מידיו, there's a verse that Moshe threw the tablets from his hand. מפרש רש"י. Rashi tries to give us an explanation. Obviously, we cannot say that Moshe became angry, he lost control of himself. That's a stupid idea. That of course, we don't think that Moshe Rabbeinu behaves in such a manner. So Rashi immediately has to explain to the little boy, a 5-year-old that reads the Torah. Rashi comes to explain to him what was happening over here. Why did he break the tablets? So let's see what Rashi says. Rashi explains, this is what Moshe Rabbeinu said to himself. Amar, Moshe Rabbeinu says, look, מה פסח שהוא אחד מן המצוות? It says, look, the Pesach sacrifice is only one commandment. You have to eat a sheep. That's the whole commandment. When Pesach comes, you have to eat a sheep. That's the commandment, right? Pesach sacrifice. אמרה תורה, כל בן נכר לא יאכל בו. The Torah says, anybody who's not within the Jewish nation is not allowed to eat the sacrifice. By the way, there's two definitions to Ben Echar. It means anybody who's not a Jewish nation, or any Jew who is gone away from the Jewish nation. So that also is not allowed to. Somebody who believes in idols is not allowed to eat in it. So it says, HaTorah kula kan. It says, look over here. It says that if somebody does not believe in going out of Egypt, does not believe in this whole concept of Judaism, he's not allowed to eat the Pesach sacrifice. It's only one commandment. Over here we have what? We have the entire Torah. The entire Torah we have over here. Yeah? HaTorah kula kan. It says it's only 10 commandments. The 10 commandments including themselves the entire Torah. The entire Torah is there. V'chol Yisrael mumarim, and the entire nation is doing what now? They're dancing around the idols. Ve'etnena lahem. You want me to give it to them? If for one mitzvah they're not allowed to eat the Pesach sacrifice, here they're breaking all the mitzvahs. Of course I'm not going to give them. Omnam gam im אי-אפשר, but then the Rebbe continues. He says, okay, you know what, I'll go with you. גם אם אי אפשר לתת את הלוחות לבני ישראל, but even if you can't give the Jewish people the tablets, עדיין אין לו סיבה לשברם. Who gives you permission to break them? So don't give it to them. I didn't say give it to them. Take it, put it in your tent. Who gave Moshe the permission to break them? It says you're not allowed to break them. This is a holy thing. Because you get angry, you break them. Even if you're going to say they shouldn't get it. So don't give it to them yet. Go put it in your tent. Go put it in a safe. Put them down nicely on the floor. What are you breaking them for? ועל זה מפרש רש"י. So Rashi is still forced to explain to us. Why did he break them? ששביחת הלוחות על ידי משה היא כמו קריאת הכתובה על ידי שושבנין. So Rashi is going to explain to us in the breaking of the tablets is like tearing the marriage contract by the guardian. What is that talking about? So let's continue and see. Source number 3, Rashi is going to explain this whole story. We're going to get a whole new concept of what's happening over here. Rashi says, Mashal lemelech. It says, this is the analogy. There once was a king. Shehalach lemedinat hayam. He went overseas to a faraway place. Ve'eniach arusato im hashpachot. He left his betrothed, the person he had shidduchim. How do you say shidduchim in English? He was engaged to. He left the woman he was engaged to amongst the other women, amongst the other maids. He left her there. He said, I'm going to come back in a while and then we're going to get married. We're engaged. I'm going to come back in a while, we're going to get married. Mitoch kilkul hashpachot. The analogy goes like this. These maids used to have big parties, invite men over every night. All these maids, right? So they used to have parties. Yatsa lehem shemra. There was a name. You know what's happening in the king's palace every night? You know, all the boys, all the girls over there. There's bad things happening over there. So it says, wow. The king, though, left together with the woman he was engaged to. He left with her a guardian. So what did this guardian do? Amad Shushvina, the guardian, stood up. Now, the engaged woman didn't do anything wrong. It's only the maid who did something wrong, but since they were in the palace, everybody thinking that she's doing something wrong also, right? So Amad Shushivna, the guardian, stood up, vekarak tubata. He took the marriage engagement document and he tore it up. What's the idea that he tore it up? If the king will want to kill her for going against him, he's going to say, where's your proof that she was ever engaged to you? She was never engaged to you. There was never an engagement. She prove it. Where's the engagement? There's no engagement. Amar im yomar hamelech larga. He said, if the king wants to kill her, Omar lo, adayin ina ishtecha, says you were never married to her. We prepared the document, but we never signed it. And now the document doesn't exist anymore. You can't kill her. Badak hamelech, the king came and checked. Umatza shelo haya kilkul ela min hashpachot. He found out that who went around to the parties? Only the maidservants. She never did. Nitratzala, the king forgave her. There's nothing to forgive. Amar lo shoshivna, ktov la ktuba acheret. So her guardian told the king, if you're going to marry her, write her a marriage document. You should write her a marriage document. Shenikrea rishona, because the first one was destroyed. Correct? Amar lo hamelech, ata karata oto, ata kna la niyar acher. So the king says, I didn't destroy it. Who destroyed it? You destroyed it. If you destroyed it, you buy new parchment, and I'll write on it. ואני אכתוב לה בכתב ידי, and I'm going to write it. כן המלך זה הקדוש ברוך הוא. Let's look at the analogy. Who's the king? The king is God. השפחות, who are the maidservants? The maidservants are all the non-Jews who came out from Egypt. Now, who told Moshe to accept them? So it says it's Moshe's idea. A lot of non-Jews converted to Judaism before, and they told Moshe, we want to come with you. And Hashem told him, I never commanded you in this. Hashem told Moshe, this is not my idea, it's your idea, it's your responsibility. Those are the guys who sinned in the golden calf. It wasn't the Jews, it was those guys. והשושבין זה משה, Who's the guardian? That's Moshe. ארוסתו של הקדוש ברוך הוא ישראל. And the wife, the engaged woman, obviously this is the Jewish people. לכן נאמר פסלך. That's why it says, you make the second tablets. It's your responsibility, you make it. You broke the first ones, you say second ones. So over here, Rashi gives us a whole new viewpoint of what's going on over here. It's not Moshe was getting angry. No, it was not out of anger, it was the opposite. It was out of protection to the Jewish nation. Imagine, Moshe Rabbeinu, it's called, the Torah is called what? Torat Moshe, the Torah of Moshe. The thing that Moshe appreciated more than anything in life is what? Is God's wisdom, God's Torah, God's knowledge. There's no person upon the face of the earth who what? Who loved Torah more than Moshe. So the question is, how come Moshe is destroying it over here? Because we're going to see that Moshe loved someone else more than he loved Torah. Who was that someone else that Moshe loved more than the Torah itself? It was the Jewish people. And Moshe says the Torah is here to serve the Jewish people. It's not the Jewish people who are here to serve the Torah. So therefore when he saw that the Torah, because of this Torah, the Jewish people are going to be killed, he was willing to give up the entire Torah, to break it, just in order to what? To save the Jewish people. That's the explanation of Rashi. We're going to continue though. That's not going to be our issue over here. Go ahead.
It occurred to me when you were describing how the tablets were holy, and that maybe it was too much for the people to handle. It was like, it was too high for them. Too...
Not to worship idols is not the end of the world.
No, I'm talking about the original version of the Ten Commandments, the way it was delivered.
Maybe. It's possible.
Like, for example,
maybe it was too lofty. It's possible.
Was there a story that when Hashem tried to speak to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai, and they couldn't handle it?
Yeah.
It overwhelmed them?
Maybe that's one of the reasons. It's possible.
It just occurred to me when listening to you talk about it.
But let's continue here. We're going to leave this section in the side, and we're going to concentrate on another section. Let's see what. ולכאורה, and it says, according to this, על פי זה אי אפשר לומר שקודם שבירת הלוחות פרחו מהם האותיות. We can't say that before the tablets were broken, all the letters were gone away from them. כי אם כן, because if this is so, נשארו הלוחות אבנים חלקות ללא האותיות. If this is so, the stones remained smooth without the letters. לא יהיה לך אלוקים אחרים. You should not have any other gods in front of you. כך שכבר אין כאן שטר כתובה. Because now there's not going to be anymore a document. ואם כן, מה היה הצורך בשבירת הלוחות? So it says, I don't understand. If Moshe broke it, it means that the tablet still said something. What did the tablet said? The tablet says you should not have any idols. And the penalty for having idols. The tablets must have said it. So why does the Midrash says that they didn't say anything? Because all the letters were removed already. They weren't removed. Moshe broke it. That's how they got removed. By breaking it, that was the removal. So let's try to understand when the Midrash says that the letters flew away, what does it mean? So let's look at page number 7. הביאור בזה בפשטות, the explanation for this is as follows. כפי שמבין גם בין 5 למקרא, just like a 5-year-old understands this Gemara, ובהקדם המדובר כמה פעמים, like we explain on many occasions, שיש דברים פשוטים שדווקא מצד הפשטות שבהם לא עומדים על זה, ובנידון נידן ישנה קושיה. It says there are simple things that you know that adults don't ask because they assume everybody knows. So therefore they don't ask. But children do ask. You know, and over here it says it's so simple that even a 5-year-old, if he actually thinks about it, can understand. So let's see what. העניין של אותיות פרוכות, when the Midrash says that the letters flew away from the tablets, שגם אז נשארו הלוחות בשלימותם, that even after the letters were removed, the tablets were still complete, ורק לאחרי זה הייתה שבירתם, and only after that Moshe broke them, שייך רק, belongs only, אילו היו אותיות שבלוחות כמו אותיות הכתובות בספר תורה בדיו על הקלף. would only make sense if it will be ink on parchment, just like a ספר תורה. היינו שהאותיות הם דבר נוסף, where we have two things. We have letters, ink and parchment, those two things. And then you can separate between the ink and the parchment. אבל מפורש בחומש, but we know that's not the way the tablets were written. It says חרוט על הדוחות, it was carved on the tablets. היינו, שהאותיות א', נ', כ' וי' של אנוכי, when it says אנוכי, הוויה אלוקיך, were carved into the stone. וכל 620 האותיות שבסדר דיברות, and so were the other 620 letters in the 10 commandments. היו חרוטות וחקוקות בתוך הלוחות. They were completely carved in the tablets themselves. ואם כן נשאלת השאלה, so now comes the question, איך ייתכן שיהיו אותיות פורחות ועדיין נשארו הלוחות בשלמותם? Once you remove the carving, what do you mean? If you remove the carving, the tablets are what do you mean? They closed? What happened over there? What exactly is happening? What do you mean remove the carving? How can you remove the carving? You know, and it's not just a carving a little bit. It's carving through and through. It's all the way through. There's a hole all the way through in it. בא בשעה שכל מציאות האותיות היא באופן חרוט על הלוחות. At the time that they were carved. What do you mean they were removed? It says, ואין לומר. It says, some people try to say, but you can't say it. שביחד עם האותיות פרחו גם חלקים מהאבן שעליה היו חרוטים האותיות. You know what? Maybe everything went up to the heavens. The letters and parts of the stone. שהרי לא מצינו זאת בשום מקום. It says, we never find that part of the stone was also removed. וזהו הפך משמעות הלשון שהיו אותיות פרחות. And it says, what was removed? Only the letters were removed. It says, what do you mean removed from a carved thing? How can you have removing of a carved thing of letters? Doesn't make sense. The Rebbe says, הביאור בזה, the explanation for this, so it says, מובן אפילו לבן 5 למקרא, this is understood even to a 5-year-old, מהמשך המאמר שכאשר היו אותיות פרחות, אז נמצאו הלוחות כבדים על ידיו של משה. We're going to find a clue to the answer. It says, once the letters were removed, it became heavy. The tablets became heavy. From that we're going to have a clue. Let's see how. הלוחות מצד עצמם הוצרכו להיות כבדים. It says, we know that the tablets were very heavy. How do we know? Because we have the measurements of the tablets. What's the measurement? שהרי מידת הלוחות הייתה 6 טפחים על 6 טפחים. Because it was 6 טפחים on 6 טפחים. It's a big thing. Yeah? 6 טפחים on 6 טפחים. Imagine marble, 6 טפחים on 6 טפחים. 6 on 6. Nobody can pick it up. It's impossible to pick such a thing up. וכמובן גם בפשטות שיש צורך בשטח גדול שיוכלו להיכתב כל 10 הדיברות. And you need, it was 6 on 6 and you need a big area to write all the 10 commandments on it. ובפרט שהייתה צריכה להיות אפשרות לראותם מראש ההר בכל שטח מחנה ישראל. It was so big that when Moshe was up on the mountain, they had to see the holes. So it says it must have been a huge thing, like this table, 6 on 6, you know, a huge thing. Elamai, but what? This is what happened. And this is the clue over here to everything. Al yedei ha'otiyot, you remember, it was a heavy stone, but this heavy stone was inundated with what? With holy words, with holy letters that God himself wrote. And what did these holy letters do to this physical stone? נעשו הלוחות כמו דבר חי שנושא את עצמו. The tablets became like something which is alive that carries himself. In other words, the letters themselves made the stone light, that it was able to carry itself. The stones, because of the holiness of the words upon them, became what? Became godly, became airy, became easy to
You said the stones were all the same, the original stones.
We're talking about the original stone, not the tablet.
But you said that material is also not of this earth.
Yeah, but it was material. It was not of this earth, but it was a material we don't have. Yeah, but it was material. It was physical.
So it could be very light.
But it says, what made it light?
The letters.
The letters made it light. So it says, the material by itself was just like any other material. It was a heavy material. It was a type of marble or a type of whatever, heavy stone, a diamond, let's call it, whatever it was. You know, but the thing that made it light was the letters. It says we have this concept. You know, also in English we say dead weight. If something is alive, it's easier to carry than someone who's dead. Yeah, everybody knows this. Now, usually it is because it just distributes the weight better. But over here we're talking even higher than this. That something is alive, it's easier to carry a live person than a dead person. Don't want to go in all into this. Over here it means the fact that it's alive makes it more spiritual. It makes it airy. וכפי שרואה גם ילד שנקל יותר לשאת דבר חי מאשר לשאת דבר דומם. It's easier to carry 50, a child who weighs 50 pounds than a weight weighing 50 pounds. והיינו שהאותיות החיו את הלוחות, which means that the letters, what did they do to the tablets? They gave it life. The life of the tablets were the letters. במכל שכן מנשמה שמחיה את הגוף, just like a soul enlivens the body, ופועלת שיהיה יותר קל יותר, and makes it the body to become easy, to become lighter. ועל אחת כמה וכמה בנוגע לאותיות של מכתב אלוקים. How much more so? Over here, the letters that God himself wrote, שהיה חרוט על הלוחות, that was carved into the tablets, ורק שהיו אותיות פרוכות. So once the letters were removed from the tablets, let's try to understand what's going on over here. So once the letters were removed from the tablets, אזי נמצאו הלוחות כבדים על ידיו של משה. Then the life that kept them up was removed from that, and they became heavy on Moshe's hands. Okay. ועל פי זה מובן הפירוש של אותיות פרוכות. So now, when the Midrash says that the letters flew, let's try to understand what the Midrash meant. It doesn't mean that now you looked at the tablets, you see something different. You saw exactly the same thing. So what was different? שלא מדובר אודות מציאות האותיות של עצמם. We're not talking about the letters themselves. What are we talking about? We're talking about אלא אודות החיות שבאותיות. We're talking about the life of the letters was removed. What does that mean? What do you mean the life of the tablets? The tablet was dead, it was dead weight, but God gave it a soul. What was the soul? The soul of the tablets were the Torah that was in it. Once the Jewish people broke the Torah, what happened to the soul of the Torah? It died. In other words, now the Jewish people, that's why God wanted to kill them, right? The Jewish Torah was gone. The idea of the life of the Torah was gone. But what remained? The body. In other words, the tablets are still there with the holes of the letters. They just don't have the life. It has no meaning now. It has no spirituality now. ולכן אין מקום לשאלה כיצד נשארה המציאות של לוחות האבנים לאחר שפרחו האותיות שהיו חקוקות עליהם. Which means that the letters were still in them. כיוון שנשארה מציאות הלוחות יחד עם האותיות בשלמותם. It was just like the tablets that we can imagine, with the carved letters. אלא שפרחה החיות שהייתה באותיות מצד מיטב מכתב אלוקים. But the spirituality of the stone was removed. It wasn't a live stone, it was a dead stone. And now we're going to see that this concept comes around at the way that the Torah analogizes it. ועל פי האמור, it says, שנתבטלה רק המעלה של מכתב אלוקים. What was removed from that? The writing of God was removed from it. אבל עדיין נשארו מציאות האותיות. But the letters themselves remain behind. הרי יש מקום, so if the letters themselves remained behind, it means that what? That the tablet is still what?
Holy.
Is still holy. Okay, it doesn't have the spirituality of the letters, but it has behind. למידת הדיון לטעון שרואים על הלוחות את האותיות אנוכי ולא יהיה לך. You could see the letters. ולכן הוצרך משה לשבור את הלוחות. And that's why Moshe was forced to break it. Because it was a document that says that the Jews are going against God. כמשל השושבין שקרא את הכתובה כדי שלא נשאר. Just like the guardian who broke the marriage contract so that the woman is not going to get punished. And we're going to see what it means with the next analogy. Let's look again at source number 4 on page 9. Amar Rabbi Yodan Rabbi Shalom, Rabbi Yodan, the son of Rabbi Shalom, said, למה שמח הכתוב מיתת אהרון לשיבור הלוחות? We're going to find an interesting thing. Aaron in the writings is right next to the breaking of the tablets. When Aaron passed away, it's right next to the breakage of the tablets. Why did God put them one next to each other? Aaron and the tablets didn't happen in the same period of time. It was many years in between them. Maybe like 38 years between them. Maybe more. So why did the Torah put them right next to each other? So the Gemara discusses and the Rebbe says, Lelamdecha. It comes to teach you. What does it come to teach you? The same concept. שמיתתן של צדיקים, that the death of a tzaddik, קשה לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא כשיבור לוחות, is as hard to God as like breaking of the tablets. What does it mean? Let's look inside. Page 10. בנוגע לעניין המיתה, when it comes to death, what happens? יודע גם בן 5 שתחילת מסתלקת הנשמה מן הגוף. We have a body and we have a soul. And what does death mean? That the soul is removed from the body. They are separated. Bodies and soul are separated. But what happens? עדיין נשאר כל הגוף בקיומו. The body is still what? Still here. Still exists. The body is still here. ורק לאחרי זה במשך הזמן נפסד גם הגוף. It just takes time that we put the body in the earth and it decomposes after a long time. But the body is still here. It's still in the physical form. ועד שאפילו צדיקים גמורים שווים לאפרם. It says even complete righteous people go back to dust. Let's explain this. It says that if you open up the graves of righteous people do not decompose. They can be there forever. There's many stories about these kinds of things that people had to take out graves of righteous people. For example, in Russia, I think Rebbe Maharash was removed from his grave because the Communist Party was making a highway over a Jewish cemetery, and it had to be removed, the body, to a different resting place. So when they removed him, they saw that his body was just like fresh, not rotten. And it says about many righteous people that they remain forever. But it says even righteous people, when Mashiach is going to come, their body is going to decompose and then they're going to be resurrected. So even righteous people get decomposed. וכיוון שרש"י, and look what Rashi says, מדמה מיתתן של צדיקים לשבירת הלוחות. He says that when a righteous person dies, this is just like the tablets. על כן צריך לומר שכך היה הסדר בשבירת הלוחות. This is what's happening in the breakage of the tablets. שתחילה נסתלקה החיות מהאותיות שבלוחות. The neshama of the tablets was removed. Just like a person, the neshama is removed from his body. Just like the neshama is removed from his body. בדוגמת סילוק הנשמה מן הגוף. Just like the neshama is removed from the body. But what remained? The body remained. The body remained. ועדיין נשארה מציאות הלוחות. And the tablets themselves remain, just like a Jewish body remains. בדוגמת קיום הגוף גם לאחרי סילוק הנשמה. Just like the body remains down here, even after the neshama is removed. ורק לאחרי זה היה עניין נוסף של שבירת הלוחות עצמם. And only then the tablets were completely broken על ידי משה. כשם שלאחרי זמן נפסד גם מציאות הגוף. Just like over here, the body returns into dust, into afar. So here comes the question. ועל פי האמור, according to what we said, שגם לשיטת רש"י בפשוטו של מקרא היו אותיות פרוכות, תתורץ קושייה בפשוטו של מקרא. Now we have a question. כאשר הבן 5 למקרא לומד שמשה רבנו שבר את הלוחות, when we learn that Moshe broke the tablets, מתעוררת אצלו קושייה. We should, each and every one of us, ask the question. What's the question? גם אם משה לא היה יכול לתת את הלוחות לבני ישראל, even if Moshe couldn't give the tablets to the Jewish people, בגלל הקל וחומר מקורבן פסח, because he's afraid that God, right, is going to punish them, שכל בן אוכל לא יאכל בו, it says that if you go off the way you shouldn't eat in the Pesach sacrifice, מי נתן לו רשות לשבור את הלוחות? Who gave you permission to break the tablets? He says, why are you breaking them? ושאלה זו היא לא רק מצד הסברה. This question is not just logical, אלא גם ממה שכתוב, it says it's ההלכה. It says, where is the halacha? Where is the Jewish law that has to do with it? It says like this, abed te'abdum, it says when it comes to idols, you should destroy them. וניתצתם את מזבוחתם, you should break all the idols, ואיבדתם את שמם, you should completely annihilate the remembrance. And then it says, לא תעשו כן להשם אלוקיכם. You're not allowed to do that to God your Lord. You're not allowed to do it to God your Lord. Over here, a Sefer Torah that becomes blemished. Wait, we throw it on the ground? It's the most holy thing in the world. We bury it. It says, what is Moshe doing? Breaking the tablets. It says, Azara lemochek et Hashem. This is a warning to anybody who even erases the name of God. Velo notetz even min hamizbeach. Or even if you take a stone from the altar and you break it. ואם כן, איך הותר למשה לשבור את הלוחות? So the question is, protecting the Jewish nation, not protecting the Jewish nation, still comes the question, why are you breaking something? It's against Jewish law. How can you allow to break such a holy thing? שיש בהם קדושה יותר בספר תורה. And the tablets were even holier than the Sefer Torah. Much holier. And nobody comes to think, you know what? If a Jew sins, we should break the Torah. Nobody thinks this way. Who gave Moshe the idea to do such a thing? So he says like this. בפשטות היה אפשר לומר, in the simple meaning you could say, שאכן היה אסור לשבור את הלוחות, that it was forbidden to break the tablets. אלא שמשה מסר את נפשו עבור בני ישראל לשבור את הלוחות. But you know what? God, Moshe loved the Jewish people to such an extent that he preferred to go against God and break Torah to save the Jewish people. That's what some people try to say. אבל על פי האמור לעיל שגם שיטת רש"י פשוט נקרא יותר פרוכות מובן. But now we're going to see you don't have to say that. You don't have to say that Moshe goes against the Torah. He says, why not? משה רבנו ראה שהקדוש ברוך הוא התחיל לשבור את הלוחות. It says, Moshe himself saw that God himself started to break the tablets. What does it mean that God himself started to break the tablets? שנטל מהם את החיות. It says, God, you killed the tablets. I didn't kill him. You know what I did to the tablets? I broke the body of the tablets. Who took the neshama of the tablets? Who took the neshama of the tablets? God did. When Moshe came down the mountain, he saw the ladders removed. Then God took the neshama of the tablets. How did Moshe know that God took the neshama of the tablets? It became heavy. It had no life in it anymore. It became heavy. And what's the main stuff of the tablets? That it's stone? It's a nice stone which is carved stone? No. That the fact that it has the neshama, it has a soul. That's the main stuff of the stone. שזהו עיקר עניין הלוחות. So once he saw that God took away the neshama, It's just like a person. When a person dies, what do we do with his body? We return it to the earth. We make sure that it goes back to its elements. So Moshe said, God, you started it, I'll finish it. ולכן המשיך גם הוא ושבר את הלוחות עצמם. That's why he broke the luchot. He didn't kill the tablets. Who killed the tablets? God killed the tablets. He just returned them to earth. That's the idea. ואכן הקדוש ברוך הוא, and we're going to see that in the end, you know what God told him? ישר כוחך ששיברת. After he did it, God himself said, Moshe, you did the right thing. God himself admitted to Moshe, you did the right thing. Well done that you broke it.
It's kind of widely known that Moshe broke the tablets because he was angry at the Jewish people for the golden calf.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the norm? Isn't that the general?
That's right. And now we learned...
It's not really true.
Completely not true.
Yeah. But that's the perception.
That's the perception, and it's the wrong perception.
Okay.
So we learned two explanations. The first explanation was he was protecting the Jewish nation. That's Rashi's explanation. He was taking out the marriage document. But even in that, it's hard to say it. I'll tell you why it's hard to say. Because you don't go against the Torah to protect the Jewish nation. Even that. For example, if somebody a person is in shul and holding a Sefer Torah and somebody does the most terrible thing in the world, you don't take the Sefer Torah when you break it. It's not something that you do. So it's very hard to say that Moshe did it. The way we learned it, the way the Midrash explained it, it wasn't that Moshe broke the tablets. Who actually killed the tablets? It was God. When Moshe saw that the tablets became heavy, since they don't have a soul anymore, it became just material object and nothing more. The heaviness of it, it says, God took away the holiness, the life took away the soul of the tablets. My job is just like a tzaddik. When God takes away his soul, what do we do with his body? We return his body to the earth. This is what I'm supposed to do. Take it and bring it back down to earth.